the lion's share of my career. And so when I put up my website and was offering marketing support, it was targeting professional services firms, specifically accounting firms, CPA firms. And I was lucky enough to land my first client within the first month and a half of having my website up. And they were my client for 10 years, and the rest is really history. So that was my journey to being an entrepreneur. And I always say it's been more than a career. It's been my life, and it's been really, there's some wonderful highs and there's moments where it's not so great, but overall, like, I wouldn't trade the journey for anything. It's been wonderful, and I still very much enjoy it today and feel like my company is still an entrepreneurial business, even 21 years later. Very much so.
Excellent. So definitely, I think you put it right where, you know, your business is like your life or your kids, because you know, it's a commitment way beyond just a job.
Absolutely.
You know,
it's like a crying, I always say it's like a baby. Sometimes it's crying, it needs your attention. Sometimes you can put the baby down for a little while, but you can't leave it alone very long, because the baby's going to let you know it's there. And that's very much true. Even when you reach moments where you feel like, as an entrepreneur, okay, I have some systems and processes set up, and you know, I'm inching my way maybe sort of out of being founder led and having that infrastructure, that little screaming baby kind of pops up again. So it's there. It's always there. And quite honestly, I think most entrepreneurs are in it because they love it.
Yes, definitely. So excellent. So I look forward to really getting started on the topic. But before we do that, I just want to take a sec. We do the show through the Small Business Pro University, and it's one of our brain trust initiatives that we create to really help entrepreneurs and business owners be able to gain greater knowledge and be more successful in business. So I've got a short video introducing what the Small Business Pro University is, and then we'll be back talking small business. Many small businesses experience low or no revenue growth, and the owners are not making enough money. I founded Small Business Pro University to help you break that cycle by empowering you with greater knowledge and enhanced skills to lead your organization more effectively. Over the past 15 years, I've collaborated with organizations like the Small Business Development Center, Rising Tide Capital, Empower the Village, NJMEP, Rutgers University, and SCORE to work one-on-one with over 1,000 business owners and teach tens of thousands of people about business. My experience includes serving as a naval officer, managing businesses, graduating from MIT, earning an MBA from NYU, and achieving the CFA designation, which has prepared me to accomplish my mission of helping 1,008,000 business owners to sell more, maximize profit, and finance growth by 2028. My vision is to create the ultimate business ecosystem for entrepreneurs. Small Business Pro University empowers entrepreneurs like you to run their businesses more professionally and create sustainable enterprises. We employ my proven proprietary Masterpreneur Playbook framework to guide your journey along the Masterpreneur path and facilitate your Masterpreneur evolution to work on your business and scale faster and easier. Small Business Pro University provides access to valuable resources, partnerships, and relationships that will help you to sell more, maximize profit, and finance growth. Our Masterpreneur initiatives include the Small Business Pro Network, 100+ expert-led multimedia courses, intensive training workshops, Spanish language training, Leadership Live at 8:05 live stream and podcast, in-person Power Breakfast events, and advisory coaching, consulting, and training services. Okay, welcome back. I'm here this evening with Debra Andrews, and we're talking about really marketing marketing your business, but from a data-driven perspective and a planning and strategic perspective. You know, when you get back to basics and you think about what marketing is and how to do it, it's different than what many people think it is. So, Deb, how would you define marketing? And where's a good place to start? What are some things that every business owner should know?
Well, I love that question, Andrew. Honestly, when I think about marketing, just breaking it down to its simplest form, it's about consistent communication and consistent messaging to a target audience over time. It's as simple as that. And one of the key words in that definition is consistency. Oftentimes, when working with small business, especially ones that are founder-led or owner-led, the amount of time that can be spent on marketing kind of gets in the way, and sometimes it's not as consistent, or you'll try things and be like, oh, that's not working, and you'll abandon it. So one of the things I know we're going to touch on tonight is the value of having a plan, so that however minimal you do marketing, even if it's very small amount, if you're consistent with it over time, that's what's going to pay off. Random acts of marketing, stopping and starting here and there, is not really going to drive any sort of measurable return. And it often just sort of wastes resources. And so I like to go back when people ask about marketing to the simplest definition: consistency, consistent message, consistent brand over a period of time to a target audience.
Excellent. So, okay, so definitely, consistent message. So now, what is the biggest challenge you face when you're working with new business?
Sure. I think some of the biggest challenges, and they differ depending on the size of the business, whether that business has resources, financial resources, and also time to do marketing. Those are kind of the two big levers, right? The time to do it and the budget to do the marketing. So if you don't have a budget to do marketing, owners and founders of businesses need to spend more time doing the marketing. If you have resources to do it, you can hire a marketer in-house to help part-time or fractional, or you can hire a fractional business, much like Andrew is a fractional CFO. My businesses provides fractional marketing support to businesses who want to have the power of a marketing team, but can't afford to hire a full marketing team internally. So those are the two big challenges. And I would say that, one of the big things that can help a business is formulating a plan, however simple that plan may be, is one, making sure that you understand how you're different from your competition. Depending on what type of business you are, you might be in a more commoditized type industry. And that's a hard place to be. You never want to compete on price. So it's really important to find that unique selling proposition, your point of differentiation, and note that in your plan, because it should be part of your key messaging. The second is, your target markets. Who are you speaking with? And I talk about that in a couple different ways. One is your target market segment. Where are you going to spend your time communicating? And how are you going to communicate to that audience and be directly relevant to them? There's so much information today on the internet, on AI, it's everywhere. And so if you're not speaking to someone directly, providing information that they can't find somewhere else, then most likely you're not going to break through that noise, right? So you want to make sure that you're focused and you're targeted on a particular market segment. Some go to market geographically, some go to market by industry vertical, but you need to break it down even more. So within that segment, who are you speaking with? If you were speaking person to person, who are you talking to? Who is that buyer? Is it the CEO of a small business? Is it a CFO? Is it a marketing manager within that business? And what are their pain points? What are they struggling with? So that when you're messaging, your product or service within that market segment to that buyer persona, you are hitting the mark. You are breaking through the noise and you're saying information that is helpful to them, and in helping them, better understand some of their challenges and why they're having challenges. And then over a period of time, helping recommend solutions to their pain point or their challenges, you will hopefully eventually get that piece of business. And so those are some of the things that is really helpful, is to have a plan that, one, has your point of differentiation, two, has your target market, three, has your buyer persona. And that's kind of the foundational items that you want to have in your plan. But then what are you going to be communicating over a period of time, and what channels are you going to use? And that's really where, some good marketing advice could help, whether you get that from your neighbor who does some marketing, or you can hire someone on Upwork that has marketing, depending on your size or your budget. Or if you have a larger budget, contract with, a firm like mine, is how are you going to communicate over time? And that becomes really important, because that's when you're either spending time or you're spending dollars. And you want to make sure that you are reaching your target audience through your communications, right? So you've taken the time to define your audience and your segment, and you want to break through the noise. You want to be consistent. You want to make sure you're reaching that target audience over a period of time. So that is, probably the most helpful way to overcome, the challenges to business owners of, time and money, is to have a plan. I always say to prospects and clients and just business owners in general, you wouldn't leave for a journey from Maryland, where I'm based, to the West Coast without a plan. Because if you think about how long that journey is going to be without a roadmap, without a plan, it's going to be really long. You're probably going to run out of gas. You're going to take all kinds of wrong turns. You're going to wear out your car. So if you have that plan ahead of time, that's going to be a much more efficient journey to get to your destination. And for business owners, that destination is new customers and growth, right? So that plan is really, really key.
Okay. Excellent. So yeah, so definitely, planning is important. With your, when you're marketing, we talked earlier just about how important it is to focus, especially early on in your business journey.
Yes.
Why is that? And what does it mean to focus?
Sure. Focus goes back to the target audience. Who are you developing your message? Who are you selling your products to? Whether they're products or services. And one thing is clear in this day and age, everyone has access to endless amounts of information. Unlike marketing 30 years ago, when there really wasn't the internet, there wasn't buying, there was, you were more confined to your local geography. Now you're not. You can find whatever you want, wherever you want. And so with that, with geography in some regards, kind of not as much a factor. People are more comfortable buying things they see on the internet, even if it's in another state or another country. So people are going to look for that best fit. And that best fit, speaking from my background in professional services, is someone that understands my industry, understands my business, and can speak to me directly. So, people want to have that connection with somebody that is going to be maybe their trusted advisor, or they're selling them, some sort of solution. And when you're able to use the language that they speak in every day, that's going to be a win, because they're going to trust you. They're going to trust that, you know what you're doing, you know what you're selling, you know what you're promoting. And so that focus should be on a core strength. It's something you know really well. Andrew and I were talking a little bit earlier about, he has a background in manufacturing. And so, he's found that he's success in talking with owners of manufacturing companies. For me, when I was first starting out, it was all about professional services. First, I started with accounting firms, built some depth there. But then I started to plant seeds with law firms, another form of professional services. build some depth there, and then I could pivot a little over to engineering firms. And so little by little, I started growing from my initial point of strength, which was CPA firms, to law firms, to engineering firms, to management consulting firms. And that's really the best way to do it, is sort of like land in a point of strength and focus your energy. It's challenging for business owners because I think there's a fear factor. And in fact, I've heard from business owners, there's a fear factor of focusing, that I don't want to put out there on my website that I only service these kind of companies, because I could service anybody. My product, my service is good for any business. So I don't want to focus. But the problem is that there's going to be another service provider or product provider that will focus on that industry, and they will get the sale, and you won't get the sale as a generalist. We very much have moved to sort of a specialist time in business. And so I always say, don't be afraid to focus. In fact, that is probably the most important thing. It will also cut your budget. When you're trying to market to everybody, you think about how much money, how much time that takes to market to a mass audience, right? You're marketing to all sorts of different businesses, B2B, B2C, small, big. When you focus on businesses of a certain size within a certain industry, maybe even in a certain geography, when you focus, you're more likely to attract those types of businesses. And once you make that connection, again, you're playing to your strength, you know the language, you have the expertise, and you're able to really connect with those prospective buyers.
Excellent. So definitely, differentiating yourself. So we've been talking a lot about marketing, but we haven't said much about data yet. So, definitely everybody's heard the word data, but there's all types of different data, and it can seem overwhelming. So when we're talking about marketing data, what is the data we should be looking at and thinking about?
Absolutely. You're right. Everyone is talking about data, and for the most part, for good reason. In marketing today, much of what we do is digital and is measurable in some fashion. And that measurement's really helpful because it gives you an indication of what you want to stop, what you want to continue and do more of, or what maybe you need to test a little bit more and try again. So in terms of measurement, you want to start measuring as soon as possible in your marketing journey. With some of the most simple measurements is the hub of all of your marketing is your website. How is the performance of your website? So look at your overall website traffic. Is that rising over time? There are different types of web traffic. There's organic traffic, meaning people are typing in branded or unbranded search terms around your product or service, or maybe challenges around your product or service that would lead them to you. That's called organic search traffic. And that's kind of high quality, that's gold type of traffic. So you want to look at your website and say, how is my organic search traffic going up or down over time? That will give you a good indication of, hey, we're moving in the right direction. People are starting to hear more about things related to my product and service, and they're starting to hear more about my company. You can also look at your conversion rates. How many people that have come on your website have filled out a form? That's really important because when they stay strangers, you don't know who they are, they're not likely to become customers, right? So the earlier you can get them to convert and be in your database, you can then remarket to them over time. And guess what? You don't have to pay for that remarketing, right? Because they've opted in to be part of your database. So that also is marketing gold right there. So one of the first things that you can measure as a business owner, and should be, is your website, organic search traffic, conversions. You also want to look at the bounce rate, basically, or sometimes it's called the engagement rate, which is the flip of the bounce rate, meaning when people land on your website, are they staying? Are they staying for a period of time? That's a good indication that you have good content, that it's resonating with who it should, and that it's working. It's doing its work for you. And having that really strong digital presence, a good, strong website, is really the foundation to doing great marketing. So you can start that day one. As soon as your website is up, make sure that you have Google Analytics to measure your website and measure your website traffic. So that is kind of foundational measurement. Once you start doing, you've decided, so you go back to the roadmap. You have your roadmap, you have your plan, you have your website. And I mentioned earlier, so now we're going to decide, how are we communicating to our target audience over time? Are we going to use social media? Are we going to use paid advertising? Are we going to use email marketing? What vehicles are we going to use? Or we're probably going to use multiple vehicles to communicate to our target audience, right? So once we start doing that, we do email marketing, we do social media marketing, or we do maybe PPC, paid Google advertising, or paid social advertising on LinkedIn or Meta. You can start measuring how that's working for you in a number of different ways. So there's benchmark KPIs that you can use to say, okay, for paid media, I'm paying X cost per lead that I'm getting in, and that's really pretty high for my industry, and I know it should be lower. So we need to do some work to refine that. In email marketing, you're going to be looking at open rate and click-through rate, and you're going to be looking, how did this email compare to the last email it sent and last month's email, et cetera, et cetera. But you also want to look at what's good for your industry in terms of open rate and click-through rate. So that's data that gives you indication of what you're doing is working well. With social media marketing, I always say the whole point of social is to be social. So the company page is valuable in that it gives you credibility. You have a company page up on Meta, you have a company page up on LinkedIn, and you want to put post. But most importantly, with social media, you want to be connecting your personal profile with other people. And the more that you engage with other people's content and they engage with yours, the more that you are likely to see people move from that social platform to your website to check you out or to message you through that social platform. And so what you're going to be looking at there are, what kind of, are people liking my post? How well are they engaging with it? What kind of impressions and interactions over time? And so it gives you an indication of how well that effort is working. And so those are kind of the baby steps of measurement. And what those are all called, all the things that I provided are KPIs. You may hear that term, key performance indicators. They're just that, key performance indicators that what we're doing, we're kind of moving in the right direction. We're getting better than we did last month. We're doing better than the industry standard. And it's a good indication that what you're doing, you might want to keep with it. If you're finding that you're moving in the wrong direction, then it's time to kind of take a pause and say, okay, is it something we're doing with our marketing? Do we need to improve upon what we're doing? Or do we need to stop this altogether? Is this a waste of money? Is this a waste of time? So those are kind of benchmark KPIs. Then you move into probably what all business owners and CEOs care about, which is the funnel metrics, right? And so when you think of the funnel is your sales funnel or your revenue funnel. And it starts with what goes into the top of the funnel is a lead. That's a conversion off your website, or someone's messaged you. That is maybe someone that has not necessarily raised their hand saying, I want your product, I want your service, but that is someone that is opted in to be part of your database. And that is hugely valuable, again, because you don't have to pay to remarket to that person. And now you can market to them consistently over time and really get to know them and what they like and what they don't like, and feed them more information about what's resonating with them. So once you have a lead in your database, you can then, through different types of software, you can monitor engagement again and be sure to be remarketing to these people over time in the right way. Remember, just because someone is a lead that came in, maybe because they downloaded a white paper on your website, does not mean they're ready to sit down and negotiate a sale with you. It means that they're interested in that information. And so from a marketing standpoint, the best thing you can do is feed them more of the information that they're interested in. And in doing that, you become a trusted provider. And they may not have even put a face with the name of your company at that time. They just know, wow, this company, just like Andrew, provides you small businesses with great information every week through this wonderful podcast and all the different events that he hosts. He's a trusted advisor, and you may not have ever met Andrew. You should meet Andrew, by the way, but you may not have met him yet. And so Andrew is a brilliant marketer, right? And doing all of this good stuff. And he's just doing good things for small business. So once you start measuring your funnel metrics, you're measuring your leads, and then you're measuring how well those leads are starting to move into opportunities. And so just to kind of recap, I know that was a lot of information. When we talk about data, we want to measure your website traffic. That's kind of a starting point. Then you want to start measuring KPIs of any outreach that you're doing to say, am I spending my time wisely? Am I spending my dollars wisely? Are there things that we can do to improve upon what we're doing to drive better results? And then ultimately, once you're into some serious marketing and you're looking for a return on that investment, you can be talking about your funnel metrics and talking about leads in the funnel and those leads converting to opportunities. And eventually you can attribute your marketing efforts to revenue.
Okay, excellent. So, one thing that I found, I'm not really a marketing guy, I'm a finance guy, but I've become a marketing guy because one, you got to market your own business, but also I work with a lot of other business owners. I work with over 1,000 business owners one-on-one. Amazing. And I'd say 90% of the problems that businesses have is they're not selling enough. So that's why sales and marketing is so important. But marketing is really deep and broad. Like there's so much more to marketing than I would have ever thought. And so much more than anybody can really know, even if you know a lot of marketing.
Absolutely.
How do you manage that as a CMO, being in charge of? How do you account for that, and how do you figure out what types of tools to use in terms of marketing?
Absolutely. Well, you're right in that marketing is super complex. I found over my tenure in the marketing field, it's only become more complicated and more messy. And honestly, it's become more fun, to be honest with you, because you feel like as a marketing consultant to companies, the value that you can provide is actually simplifying the chaos and being able to, as Andrew said, there's all these different tools you can use. There's different methodologies. There are different channels that you can use. And what are all the right puzzle pieces for your business is it's a mystery to a lot of business owners, to be honest with you. And it's confusing. And many times they can try it on their own and maybe they can have some success. But a lot of times, I focus on it every day and I find it confusing. So if you're not focused on it every day and you're not a marketer, it can be pretty tricky. And you might end up buying some tools that could be expensive that might not be working for you, or you don't know how to work. You could be using distribution channels, maybe not in the right way, or it's not consistent enough, and that might not be working for you. And so it really becomes important to find somebody that can be a trusted advisor to your business to help you figure out how you put those puzzle pieces together that makes sense for your business and where you are with your business, given your budget, your time, and your target audience. That's really very key. Because again, most small businesses have a finite budget and have finite time. And so You don't want to use up too many of those chips without knowing that you're moving in the right direction. A lot of companies that I've worked with over time have tried different things. They've hired different people in different marketing roles, and let me tell you, that's not easy, is hiring a marketer or an internal marketer, because there's all kinds of marketing professionals. There's generalists, there's specialists, there's strategists, there's tacticians, there's technologists, there's creatives. I could go on and on. And so if you don't hire the right skill sets in-house, that marketer's not going to be able to do the things that you need to do for your business. And ultimately, that's not going to work. So hiring is one thing that can be super tricky. Another thing too is the marketing technology. Most marketing technology platforms out there that do some of this wonderful measurement and help with the distribution of messages and can do great things over time also cost quite a bit. It's an investment. And if you use that investment wisely, it's going to work well for your business. But I have come across businesses that have subscribe for software for a year, and it could be $10,000 or $15,000, and they're using like this small percentage of what that software can actually do, because they don't have anything to feed into the technology. There's no content, there's no social posts, there's no one to do that work. There's nothing systematic about it. And so marketing is complex. And what I would say is, business owners don't really want to try to do it alone too long. If you don't have the budget to hire a marketing person that is the right fit, or hire a marketing consultant, there's lots of resources out there that can be helpful. I know my company, Marketree, has a blog. We have lots of resources about modern marketing and how to approach go-to-market planning, and so forth. And so there's a lot of resources out there. And AI, to be honest with you, I think makes it easier to find the resources in some ways than even doing Google searches. So if you go to, my favorite tool is Perplexity right now, which is an AI, it's called a RAG. It's an AI generated tool that kind of partners with ChatGPT and partners with this Anthropic Claude, these other large language models. And if you go in and type, I want to know, I'm a business owner and I don't have a marketer and I don't have a budget to hire a marketer, but I really want to know how to get started with marketing, and I want to know how to put together a basic go-to-market plan, Perplexity will actually serve up a pretty nice answer of how you should get started. And that might be just what you need in that moment. But if you're a business that has a budget and is serious about driving significant growth and investing in marketing, it's really good to ensure that you have the right partner and the right experience so that they're putting the pieces of the puzzle together in the right way for your business so that you can ultimately get to that revenue funnel, those leads, those opportunities that close revenue that you can attribute back from your marketing effort. So don't be discouraged if you don't have budget. There are tons of free resources out there. And again, leverage these AI tools. They're pretty darn good. But when you are serious about growth and you do have budget, it is smart to partner with experienced marketing folks that have tried a lot of things and have made the mistakes before, right? And they've ultimately landed on some really good best practices, and they've worked with businesses just like yours, and they know how to build marketing programs to build success for your business.
Okay, excellent. So, one of the old adages was sort of, when you're advertising, half of your advertising budget is wasted. It's just you don't know what half it is until it's wasted. Does that still go for marketing? And, how do you pick someone to work with? There's always good, bad, better, worse options.
Sure.
How do you, approach the process of finding someone to work with and figuring out if they're the right people? Because there's a lot of times that people have worked with people and it hasn't been successful. What are your thoughts on approaching that?
For sure. You definitely want to do your due diligence when hiring a marketing partner. It's a really important decision. Or even if you decide to hire a marketing professional and you've never hired a marketing professional, it's really good to get guidance with that. But if you're looking to, say, invest in a marketing partner, whether it's a fractional CMO or a fractional marketing company, the best thing you can do is look at their website. And first thing, is what they're talking about resonating with you? The message should be tailored, just as we talked before. If they focus on your type of business and on your industry, when you go to their website, it should speak to you. So does their website speak to you? Does it look the part? Are they talking about businesses of your size? Are they talking about businesses in your industry? If so, that's a really good sign right there that their website connects with you, and that means a lot. I would go and check out their resources, check out whether they have a blog, whether they have videos, whether they have podcasts, and read them, listen to them. Do they make sense? Do they impress you in terms of, wow, these folks really seem to know something? And they even have some content around businesses just like mine in my industry. So check out their resources, their blogs, their videos, their podcasts, and that will leave an impression as well. The third is look at reviews. Most professional services firm will have Google reviews. It's a tricky one, right? Because sometimes in the services market, I don't want to ask my customer for a review because I am their trusted advisor and I'm like almost a part of their business. But gotten to the point where I know that they're very helpful for businesses. And quite honestly, the customers don't mind leaving reviews for you because you've done a really good job. So check out their Google reviews, check out their reviews on other sites if they're in consumer products. There are other types. If there's software, there's software review sites, and read them. Another tool that I have personally not used a lot, but I've heard a lot about lately is Reddit. So check out Reddit. See if there's a Reddit thread about, a business just like yours that's looking for a marketing partner or what you should be looking for in a marketing partner, and check out comments. So I wouldn't say like do one thing. It's a really important decision. I would do all of those things. I would go to a website. I'd spend a lot of time reading their resources. And if they don't have resources, that's a red flag. You want a services firm, especially a marketing firm that markets themselves well, right? So if they're not marketing themselves well, if they're not providing a good experience on their website and providing helpful content, that is not a good sign. And then also check out reviews and check out user-generated content on Reddit. Also social media, check out their LinkedIn page. If they're not active, again, these are marketing firms, so they should be pretty active on social media. If you're not impressed with their social presence, that's probably not a good sign as well. So those are just some of the things that you can do to help ensure that the marketing folks that you're going to ultimately select are good partners. I would also encourage you to talk to multiple firms. It's rare that a prospect comes my way that is not also talking with a couple of other firms. And kudos to them, because that's the right thing to do. The more that you talk to, the more you'll become convinced that one firm is right for you, right? And so have conversations, take the time to spend an hour, have questions ready. Use some of those, the AI tool, use Perplexity or ChatGPT. Type in, I'm a business owner, I'm interviewing a marketing firm. I would like to know what are some of the questions I should be asking for my business to make sure that they're the right partner. It'll provide a really nice list of questions for you, and you might want to augment that list, but that will be helpful in conducting these interviews. I would record them using maybe an AI tool like Fathom or their free tools with Zoom and some others. Record them and then go back and re-listen to them and compare notes. Who said what really resonated with me? Share some of that with other people on your team. And then don't be afraid to have a second conversation. Sometimes I have 2, 3, 4 conversations with business owners before they ultimately decide to go with Marketry or not. It's a really important decision, and I never mind having those conversations, and neither should any marketer. So hopefully some of that advice you find helpful as you go out and try to find a partner that's right for you.
Okay, excellent. So, one of the things I've found is, a lot of firms, you mentioned they may hire someone in marketing. It doesn't work well, especially on the salesperson side. A lot of times they'll hire a salesperson, and more often than not, early on in the stage, it's not going to be successful. And it's not necessarily the salesperson's fault either, because if you're going to have a salesperson, there's certain things you got to have. You got to have leads. You got to have tools. You got to have information.
Yes.
And sales is not marketing, and marketing is not sales. And someone could be great at selling, but not good at marketing at all, and vice versa. So,
Yes.
So I hire a marketing firm like yours, or a marketing person.
Mm-hmm.
So now can I say, I got sales coming and I'm good to go? Or what do I got to do? What's my responsibility?
Yeah, if you are a business owner, sometimes some products and services lend themselves better to, marketing source leads, and that can almost come in and we can nurture them to the point of sale, and the business owner can come in and kind of close that business. Remember, marketers don't close business. We're not salespeople. So ultimately someone's got to close that business unless it's e-commerce, and then you can transact online. But putting that aside, but if you're a salesperson, you very much want to partner with your marketing or your marketing team. A lot of times, when we come in, salespeople are very happy to see us because perhaps they've been tasked with cold calling or going to networking events, and no one has ever heard of the company that they're working for, or they might say, gosh, I don't even give out my business card because I don't want someone to go to the website because the website of the company is so bad. And so if you're investing in hiring a salesperson to kind of help either close business or to help drum up some leads that then can be sort of supported by marketing, you want to make sure that they are also working from a point of strength, that they have the brand looks good, there's at least a decent website that has a good message, that they have something in their tool belt, so that you're not investing in their time and they're kind of out there knocking on cold doors without a brand, a message, any brand recognition. The website doesn't look good. There's no social. So you kind of have to do them in tandem. You need to make sure you have your marketing foundation set, your brand and your messaging, your website. And at the same time, you need to be working with sales to make sure sales understands they have some tools that they can use at their disposal to make them more successful ultimately. Again, some businesses can almost operate without a sales team, but I would say a lot of businesses, there's still a role for sales. There still is, once the buyer reaches a certain point, and it's different points for different types of businesses, ultimately they're going to want to talk to somebody about a solution. Unless it's, a more commoditized product, then maybe not. But if it's a solution or if it's a service, they're probably going to want to have that short list, right, to speak with. And that's the perfect opportunity for a salesperson. But if you're a smaller business, maybe that's, a job of the business owner to close sales or whatever that could be. So I don't know if that answered your question. The best is when you have both of them and they're kind of working together with marketing, sort of supporting the sales effort, and sales also supporting marketing as well, working together.
Okay. And then the owner still needs to be involved as well, though, pretty significantly.
Yeah, for a while, until you're able to have more of a solutions-based salesperson that is really able to walk that buyer and close that piece of business. And they tend to be on the more experienced side of then you're talking about like an SDR that kind of brings leads in the door that can kind of nurture them to a point, but not take them all the way to close. More than often, the business owner is involved to a large extent, and some businesses, even in professional services, swear by the seller doer model. The people that do the work, like CPAs or lawyers, are actually the ones that sell the work, because when you're buying a service that's an intangible, ultimately you want to talk to the people that are actually doing the work. As well.
Definitely. So, we're covering a lot of great stuff. An hour just isn't long enough to have a conversation like this.
Oh my goodness, it's flown by. This has been so much fun.
We have covered some good stuff, but there's one question maybe if you could take a quick stab at,
Sure.
and then there's something else I want to ask you about before you go. So,
Great.
But I have a question here. How can startups compete with larger companies by leveraging analytics for ROI? What are some ways to potentially do that?
Sure. So I'm not sure analytics in and of themselves is going to help a smaller startup compete with larger competitors, because you need to be doing marketing and outreach in order to get the analytics. So kind of backing up a step, if you're a startup company and you're operating in a space where you have larger competitors, one, you're going to want to make sure that you take the time to invest in your brand, that you look larger than you are. So there's sites where you can pay $50 and get your logo. Don't do that. Like, take a little bit of budget, invest in your brand, make it look legitimate, make it look credible, spend that money. Spend a little bit of money on your website, making sure, again, that it looks the part. It's not just a one-page website, because that's going to be hard to compete. So putting analytics aside, you have to make sure you have that right foundation. Make sure you have the right messaging to your audience. You have messaging to your audience that is going to resonate with them. So that's kind of the foundational element. From that, you can compete with larger companies by going back to what we spoke about earlier, is about focusing on a target market. Larger companies focus on many markets, right? If you are a smaller startup, the best thing you can do is land in one place, like have your sites fixed on a particular market, right? And then from there, market the heck to that market and stick with it. Then use your analytics to tell you, is what we're doing effective? Are we spending our money wisely with paid advertising? Is our website working for us? Are we making progress with any outreach that we're doing or paying for? And those analytics will be key to looking at, I would say, let it be your morning cup of coffee. Look at your analytics, tweak and refine. Don't wait a month to take a look at them and say, oh my gosh, I just spent a couple $1,000 and boy, that didn't work at all. Like with small startup businesses, with cash flow constraints, you want to be looking at your analytics quite a lot and making sure that they're where they need to be. And don't be afraid to A/B test, to pause things, and to tweak things as you go, to be optimizing along the way. I think that's probably the best recipe for competing with a larger player, is to start off with your site set on a particular market. I've definitely worked with startup firms with seed funding or even Series A funding that try to be the product or service of choice to too many different markets. And the fear of focusing is what used up too much cash flow. So focus, and then have a plan for consistent outreach over time. Going back to the original definition we talked about in its simplicity, consistent outreach to that target market. And then once you're doing that, look at your analytics and measure and compare how you're doing against benchmarks, and don't be afraid to stop, tweak, or double down on something that's working extremely well.
Okay, excellent. So first, I appreciate everybody's comments and sharing things.
Thank you.
And Deb, I Forgot to ask you about this earlier, but hopefully you're good. You're good for it. At the end of the show, I always like to have guests share three key takeaways based on what we talked about today that people should resonate and that they can focus on tomorrow to really start to implement. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to think it through, so I'm not just going to spring it on you. I got a video about some resources that we have available for entrepreneurs and business owners, and then we'll come back and hear the top three things to take away. So, all right, let's check it out. Ever wonder why some businesses succeed while other ones flounder or just plain fail? It's all about having a solid game plan, knowing what to do, how to do it, and when to do it, because your business can only go as far as you're prepared to take. How can you acquire the knowledge, the skills, and perspective that you need to succeed? What if you could learn the secret sauce in a matter of hours from the comfort of your own home or office? Now you can. I'm Andrew Frazier. I've written a series of books outlining my proven proprietary Masterpreneur Playbook framework that has helped more than 1,000 business owners to succeed. By reading the handbook and completing the workbook exercises chapter by chapter, you will actively learn how to become more effective at sales, marketing, financial management, operations, and more. Then, the playbook will guide you through the critical stages of business development and personal evolution necessary to work on your business and scale it successfully. As a result, you'll create a sustainable business that can run successfully without you. Here's what others are saying about my methods.
Andrew's books are outstanding. They're easy to read. They're interesting to read, and they will take you every step of the way from startup to scaling if you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to put in the time.
Good practical information that is good for both entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs. Andrew breaks it down in a very understandable way.
He's been helping me with my financials, making sure everything's together, what's working versus what's not working in my business, so that I'm working on my business and not in my business, period.
If you want to work on your business and scale successfully, you need my Masterpreneur combo, the handbook, the workbook, and the playbook. Act now to take advantage of a special offer for my Masterpreneur combo and save over 25%. I'll also sign and ship all three books for free. This is a limited time offer that can only be accessed using the direct link below. www.sbprou.com/combo. Get your Masterpreneur combo today. Once again, that's www.sbprou.com/combo. Okay, welcome back. I'm here with Deb Andrews. We're talking small business. Tonight's topic was increasing ROI with strategic data-driven marketing plan. So we did cover a whole bunch of stuff, but most people can't remember more than three things. So we want to just leave them with a few things on the top of their lists to do for tomorrow and take away. So what would you say the three key things people should take away from what we talked about tonight?
Yeah. So number one, I would say the focus piece is super important with small business. So when you wake up tomorrow and you go to your website, take a look at it. Are you focusing on a specific target market and a specific buyer within that target market? If it's not clear on your website, if it's not clear in your brochure and your messaging, you want to sit back and say, how can we focus more so that our marketing dollars and our marketing time is going to give us more longevity, right? And that we're going to be able to land and win in that market. So focus is number one. Number two, you need your plan. Going back to the analogy, if you're taking a cross-country trip, you need a map. That is going to be a very inefficient trip without that map. So have your go-to-market plan, which is going to lay out how you're going to consistently deliver relevant messaging to your target market over a period of time. So have your plan in place. And then the third is the data, going back to the data and the KPIs. And the simplest start with data-driven marketing is to look at your website analytics. That is a great place to start if you haven't been doing any measurement at all. What is the health of your website? How is organic traffic trending? What is your engagement rate? And are people converting? Do you actually get people that convert and sign up for your newsletter or say they need more information? Are you converting people that are coming to your website? That is a really good place, simple place to start with data-driven marketing. So I hope it's been helpful. It really has been an honor and a pleasure to be on Andrew's show this evening.
Okay, great. No, thank you, Deb, for joining. Definitely focus is key. And what you I'm sure you find as well is even when business owners focus, they probably need to refocus down 2 or 3 more times. So
absolutely,
when you think you're focused, there's still a lot of room to go. Plan, having a roadmap. I always think of it as see it before you do it.
I love that. Yes.
Then you can try it and think, is this what I want to do? And is this the outcome I'm going to get, as opposed to do it and, figure out what happened and you already spent your money and may not have gotten results. And of course, data, you can't understand what's going on if you don't look at the numbers.
That's exactly right.
So this is great.
Thank you, Andrew.
Definitely appreciate you being on.
My pleasure.
Appreciate the audience, and feel free to reach out to Deb. You've got in the chat, we've got her LinkedIn profile, we've got her website, and I'm sure she would love to.
I would love to hear from you. Yeah, let me know what resonated here on the show, and if you have questions and I can help you with your marketing, I'd be more than happy to.
Okay, excellent. Thanks. Well, if you can hang on for a minute, Deb, as I close out, and then we'll catch up in a minute. So let's take a look. So once again, appreciate everybody hanging out, and had a great show tonight. Each week we have a special guest and a new topic. So looking forward to next week as well. So just a quick preview. Next week our guest is going to be Jimmy Newsom. We have him come every so often because he's, always very cutting edge, and especially when you're talking about data and strategy. So he's going to share an annual planning roadmap for Strong 2025. So definitely don't want to miss that as well. And of course, my goal is to make this year my best year ever. And hopefully we can help you make this year your best year ever as well. So feel free to reach out if we can help. Definitely continue to tune in, and looking forward to a great year. So definitely, enjoyed the show. And then at the end of the day, the more that you know, the faster and more successfully your business is going to grow.
Thank you for listening to Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpro.u.com.